Hi, everybody. I'm AJ Park or Ann Park. I am a fantasy author, and it is a super fun opportunity today. I have author C.M. Martens with me, or Cindy, as you get called in the regular world. But we're so happy to meet you and to have a chance to let you talk a little bit about your work. So go ahead, tell us more about you.
All right, yeah, thank you. It's great to be here. So yeah, I'm a speculative fiction writer. Currently my series out is urban fantasy. Um, I think I write for mostly people who just love stories. Like I love books and I hate when character stories end. So when I went into writing this, it was kind of I wanted to bring a character to life who really went through all kinds of trials and you just wanted to keep seeing what was happening. Um, so that turned into 5 books. And so,
Nice. I love it.
yeah, it was supposed to be a trilogy and it got away from me, but I think
Hey,
it
you can
worked
put
out
as
at
many
the
books in
end.
a series as you want. If you
Yes.
get up to 21, we'll be right with you. That'll be fun.
Yeah. I wonder if I would have like the fortitude to keep on with something like that. I really like look up to those authors who, especially urban fantasy, the genre for that, or 20, 25 books. And I don't know, maybe I'll put that on a goal for the future.
Right. We'll wait and see what you do. So you were telling me a
Right.
little bit earlier about your main character. Do you want to tell us a little bit more in depth about her?
Sure. Desiree Gallon. I wrote her because so many female characters right now, I think, they're sassy and they're really strong. And I do like those characters, but I kind of wanted to write about someone who she just doesn't really know what's going on. She almost doesn't even care. Like apathy kind of is her like main trait. So she gets pulled into this adventure where she keeps expecting just the right thing to happen. Like the answers that are hers to find, she just thinks they should be given to her. And as everyone she meets isn't giving her what she expects, and she keeps just not reacting and thinking in her non-reaction that will make them not afraid of her. It will make them think she's not a threat to them. And so in turn, we'll kind of forget about her and let her go. Well, she finds that that's not the case. So I think in my first book, especially, that if you're not frustrated with her, then you're not reading her correctly.
So you intentionally wanted people to be frustrated. I
A
hope you
little
gave them
bit.
some sense of relief at the end, right?
Oh yes, yes, absolutely. So not like not frustrated where you throw the book and you don't want to read it anymore. There's definitely a lot. I think in the side characters are what I use to kind of carry her along a little bit till you
Mhm.
get probably till the third book when now everything changes and she definitely does that character arc while she realizes this is not working out.
And
So
people love that big dramatic change in a
yeah,
character, don't they? I know I do. I think
I
most
do.
readers do. That's
I do.
awesome. That's really good. So, what would you say? We talked about the characterization. Do you feel like that's the main thing that sets your work apart, or tell us a little bit more about what's your specific? What are you going for in your books?
I guess so. I think in this series, I was honestly part so the characterization was a main point, and the second point was I kind of didn't want to write a romance or anything with like a romance undertone, and it was kind of funny as I wrote it. I love romance books. I read a lot of them. Um, and I realized, like, why did I do that? Like, even just a tiny little hint of romance and like a subplot makes the story so much better. So I don't know why I did that. And so it definitely changes, and I kind of flesh out some characters that I hadn't meant to in the later books because of that.
Hmm.
Um, and I think also because of that, the new work I'm working on a dark fantasy romance right now series.
Oh, wow.
And I think it's kind of spun off of that. Like I kind of went from this side, now I'm all the way over on this side. Like, no, I really love these books, and I really like the dark, like give them all the pain. I really love it. So I'm
Right.
trying
If
to
these characters
something
aren't
like that.
miserable, then we're not doing our job, right?
Yes, exactly. I really want the reader to be afraid that, oh, is there not going to be a happily ever after maybe? So that's what I'm doing with
So we
my
want
new
it to be
kind
a
of
lot of
focusing.
jeopardy, a lot of jeopardy
A
going on.
lot of, yes,
Do
yes.
we, are we able to ask if you like to circle around for a happy ending in the end?
I actually am
Or do
still
you not want
debating
to
on that.
give that
So
away?
I don't want, I'm
Ooh,
not going to say because I really, on some of them, I'm not even sure at this stage. So I know in romance, you have to give a happily ever after.
right, right. That's
So
kind of
maybe
in the
that just means
contract.
that, yeah, exactly. So I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to, but no promises.
But for fantasy, it's not always that way. And it's certainly not that
Exactly.
way in real life. But I would say as a writer, that's why I'm so determined to have a happy ending, is because life doesn't always work that way. And that's, we want that in a book.
Yes. And I think
So,
most readers want that. They want an escape and they don't want to be, if they're miserable in their life, they don't want to be
right. We
miserable
don't want to be
in this
depressed
book.
while we're reading, right?
Yeah.
So you're
Yes.
kind of leaning towards giving us a happy ending.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll come after much calamity.
That's okay. You can have
Yes.
all the calamity in the middle. That's
Yes.
perfect. I love that. So is that project, we talked about you having a new project. Was that the one you're talking about?
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about. Yes.
And do you
So
have dates or timeframes yet, or is it still a ways out in the future?
so it's funny, and I'm sort of embarrassed to admit this, but I'm going to anyway, that I actually had a release date for last Christmas on one of them.
Oh,
And I went
wow.
back in and I went back in and basically rewrote the entire front half of it. And so I'm now I'm back into like beta reader ish stage. But then I like to complicate my life. So I decided to kind of make it into a saga. So I'm currently writing three and a sort of the fourth book all at the same time because they are all
Mhm.
interlapping stories. So I have to make sure that I'm not
Oh, that sounds
writing myself
complicated
into
to write.
quarters. So it definitely got, yeah, you should see my wall. It's like a huge whiteboard of just like this to here and this to here right now.
I
I'm
love
still
it.
figuring out the best organization for it.
That's awesome. I think I should get a giant whiteboard. That would be super fun to work
Yeah,
with.
they're just fun to have it either way, whether you need it or not.
I would use it. I would totally draw everything on that thing.
Exactly.
That'll be a plan. So so you kind of backed up and decided to make some major changes. Do you feel like you did the right thing? Like, I'm guessing you
Yes, I
did.
think
Like,
yes. So I know I'm definitely getting impatient. I feel like with my first book for sure, I was so excited that I finally decided to publish, that instead of it just being something I did as a hobby to share it, that when I made that decision, now I was like overeager. And not
right.
that the first book's not a good book, I just think if I'd taken just a little bit more time, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's all I guess
I
I could
do
say.
know what
I
you mean, because it's
feel
so
like,
easy to do
yeah,
that as an author. Because, but on the other hand, so I see it your way, but on the other hand, I would say that if you never get started, you don't have a platform to move from. And so
fair.
there are so many people out there that want to publish, but they're like, well, I'm waiting, I'm not quite ready yet, I'm not quite ready yet. And sooner or later, you have to take the plunge. And I think all of us, once we've set that baseline, we keep making progress with our writing from there. So no matter where the baseline was in 2 or 3 years or 5 years, we're still looking back saying, wow, my writing could have been a lot better back then. And I've done that a
Yeah.
ton. So
Yeah.
but I
No,
still
that's a good
think
point.
you still
That's
have
good.
to start. So yay
Yeah.
for starting. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All
But
right. I take everything back I just said about it because you're
yeah,
right.
no, you could still
It
say it.
needed to be, I needed to, there's just a point because you're right. You can try to over perfect and literally never
Right,
get there with it. So
right.
sometimes you just have to say, nope, today's the day.
Right. You
And
have to, yeah,
yep,
sooner or later, you have to take the plunge. So
yep.
tell us one really cool thing about this new project as we're anticipating watching for that. Or tell us, do you have a title yet?
Um, so right now the series is called Claiming Crinkay. Crinkay is the land.
Okay.
It's basically Warcraft with orcs. And
Oh, that's
so
cool.
if you know that, so it's Warcraft meets, I'm saying Blood Song, which is an older book, so I don't know if anybody even would know that. It's kind of military brotherhood type
Okay.
vibe. So that's what I'm in my head, that's what it is. So it's like it became a saga. So it's definitely about all these pairings of people and going through like this whole world and trying to save the world. But then, oh wow, now you got me on a whole thing because like I have like notes for characters from like, oh well, 1,000 years ago this happened, and then oh well, these
Wow.
characters maybe will have kids, so then there'll be story
So
in the
this thing
future.
is
So like,
involved. It's
so maybe I
hefty.
will get to my 21 books.
There you go. There you go.
So but yeah,
You're
but
gonna
really
have to
it's Warcraft with
you'll have to get a bigger whiteboard to put it all on.
Oh, I probably will.
Maybe
No, that,
six
yeah,
or
that could be
seven.
fun. Be like, the white walls, whiteboard
Right,
walls.
right. Like
This
this
is
is an
not a
epic
mental breakdown,
fantasy.
I promise.
I love it. I love it. That's perfect. That's what every writer needs. Well, we are super excited to see what you do with it. And we'll put some information with this video so we can find out how to connect with your books and some more information for everybody. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. And we're really excited to see more about your work.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll see everybody later.